Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is CWPA Women's Division I Varsity Action from Kinney Natatorium at the campus of Bucknell University in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania on CWPATV.com. Our free regular season remote broadcasts are brought to you courtesy of Cap 7 and the Collegiate Water Polo Association. Good morning, this is Scott Samuel David Weiss calling the action from the CWPA office in Bridgeport, Pennsylvania. Sunday, April 11th, 2021. We have up next the number 7 Michigan Wolverines taking on the number 25 St. Francis University of Pennsylvania Red Flash. Michigan 18-4 overall on an 11-game win streak, 5-0 in the conference. In fact, UM has won 18 straight CWPA games, hasn't lost in conference play since we believe 2018. St. Francis, number 25, ranked for the third time this season and third time as a program, which started in 2017. 8-8 overall, 1-1 in conference play. Michigan taking on St. Francis. Michigan coming off a 9-goal win earlier today against Bucknell. St. Francis has won 3 in a row, hasn't played since April 3rd, with wins over Mercyhurst and Gannon. Michigan has played a ton of games against ranked opponents. In fact, this is the 4th consecutive game Michigan is playing a ranked team. So far in April, this is the 4th game, 4th ranked foe. Jay O'Neill, and this is his 4th season at the helm for St. Francis, while Marcelo Leonardi is in his 7th for Michigan. Right now it appears that there may have been a cap switch. That St. Francis would be in dark and Michigan in white. The officials for this game, or tournament rather, the head is Val Zilchikov, the other official, Heather Malinga Wheeler, the alternate is Justin Hauk. This is the second of 3 games of the day. And Michigan, I believe, would be wearing the white caps. That is a switch from the original plan, I believe. So number 7, Michigan, would be in white. St. Francis, Pennsylvania, in dark. And just 13 days away, if the circumstances permit, would be the 2021 CWPA Women's Division I Varsity Championship Tournament at the University of Michigan, with the potential of having up to 70 spectators for each of the 4 games. Michigan is the 4-time defending CWPA Division I champ. 2016, 17, 18, 19 was not contested last year due to the pandemic. So it appears St. Francis in dark, Michigan in white. St. Francis in dark going right to left, Michigan in white left to right. Michigan playing its last regular season game now for the opening sprint. And there's one by Michigan, Emily Rittner. Wolverines on the attack now. Heading left to right and white. Michigan 2-0 this season against the Red Flash. Set inside. And there'll be an exclusion. There'll be an exclusion on St. Francis. It's the first power play opportunity for UM. Take it back. Rittner. Now St. Francis will be on a 6. Will be down the player. Not for long. It's 1-0. Save there. Now for Michigan. Wolverines heading left to right. Takes a shot. Another one. Two 0. That's Ann Rankin. There's Jay O'Neill right now telling his team, Taylor Halbauer, gotta break it up. The Michigan up 2-0 early on here in our second of 3 games of the day. Michigan has never lost to St. Francis. Red Flash have been in programs starting in 2017. Ordinary fouls, SFU heading right to left and dark. And there'll be an exclusion on the Wolverines. So first opportunity here for SFU to be on the power play. Heidi Rittner waiting in goal. Out of play. Goal throw for Rittner and Michigan. Not mistaken, in the 9-goal win earlier by Michigan over Bucknell, there were no corners taken. And it skips past the keeper for another Michigan score. That might have been Riley or Alson Geist. And it's now 3-0. Michigan in dark. Possession now of the Red Flash. Oh, gets off the palm of Rittner. Looks like that might be number 11 with the goal. Mies Sooks, the freshman out of Budapest, Hungary, the reigning CWPA Division I Rookie of the Week. And that gets the Red Flash on the board. 2-goal lead now for Michigan in white. I believe Heather Jacobson is in net for Jay O'Neill's squad. Linda Rivera played both games of competition in Erie, Pennsylvania, April 3rd, and got both wins. Jacobson has it. Outlet now for the Red Flash of St. Francis. Spinning away, getting guarded by Caleb Barone. Flash trying to spin back. Looks like Rebecca Pendleton, a junior from Maple Glen, Pennsylvania, not too far from the CWPA headquarters in Bridgeport, PA. Shot clock under 5. Rittner bats it down. Michigan survives. For St. Francis, in terms of the number of games played against ranked opponents, this is the 7th game against a ranked opponent this season. 1-5 in the previous instances. Kata Atasi does damage that time. She had a couple goals in Michigan's win earlier over Bucknell. The freshman from Budapest makes it 4-1. Wolverines. Michigan, I believe, has scored double figures in each of its last 14 conference games. Currently on an 18-game conference win streak, if you include CWPA D1 Conference Championship tournament games. And halfway through our opening period, Michigan leading by 3. But the Red Flash will be on the power play right now. St. Francis and Dart heading right to left. Inside the 2. Faking, now of a drive pass. Now to the left side. Fires. Rittner breaks it up. Michigan's last loss was on March 7th. A 7-6 overtime decision at number 16 San Diego State. That was a 3-game series. Michigan won the first 2 of that one. Race hard ball. Now at the point. Kata Atasi does it again. That's at least her second to make it now 5-1 in favor of Michigan. St. Francis hasn't been on a 4-game win streak since being on an 8-game win streak in 2018. Ordinary foul called. Wet pass for St. Francis. Pendleton. Shot clock under 10. Back to Pendleton. Pendleton will take her shot. Can't capitalize. Back to Heidi Rittner. And Michigan. Michigan in white heading left to right. We'll go out of play. Goal throw for Jacobson. On the NCAA scoreboard, Salem defeated McKendree 16-9 in Erie, Pennsylvania, according to statistics. So 5-1 Michigan. Me Soups is the lone tally for SFU. Oh, what a break up there for the Wolverines. This Michigan squad is poised to do some damage come the CWPA D1 Championship Tournament on April 24th, pending the circumstances, and maybe then the NCAA Tournament. Loose ball picked up by Jacobson in St. Francis. Setting up near the hole. No one was there. Rittner gets it back. Clock going to hit 0 momentarily. 5-1 is a good start for Michigan. The Dr. Leonardi squad once more. Kata Atasi. Grace Harbaugh. Harbaugh now. Back to Atasi. Tassi sets inside. Right in front and through for another Michigan score. Casey Umlauf from Northfield, Illinois. It's 6-1 now. Casey gets in on the party. In the 9-goal win over Bucknell earlier, it was 7-3 at halftime. 6 goals already. Pendleton, I believe. Sending ahead. It's actually Pendleton now. That might have been Hayden Lang. In the corner for Amy Sukes. Back to Pendleton. Pendleton in the left flat. Getting covered by Atasi. Broken up, but that will result in an exclusion foul on Michigan. Fresh 35 and a power play to come for the Red Flash. St. Francis now trying to set up a score. Takes it, pushed aside, moves ball, touches the rope. Will be a 2-meter for St. Francis. Now we'll not take a shot, and that will do it for the first quarter of play. Michigan starting hot to trot. St. Francis only getting a score from Amiz Dukes. A couple of players getting in on the action for Michigan, including Kata Atasi, Maddie O'Reilly, Dan Rankin, Casey Umlauf. It is 6-1. Number 7, Michigan in white after 1 period of play.
Hi, I'm Wolf Weigo. Do you want to improve your game? Everyone should have a Cap 7 ball to improve their ball handling skills. If you really want to improve your game, you've got to have a couple water polo balls in your house. Everywhere I go, I'm kicking around the ball, spinning it in my fingers, playing with it, kicking it. It's a lot of fun. Get one and take your ball handling skills to a new level.
Be sure to follow us on social media for all the latest updates on what is happening around the league. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with the handle at CWPA Water Polo, and be sure to check out our YouTube page for tons of great water polo content. Number 7 Wolverines and the Whitecaps have the 6-1 lead over number 25 St. Francis. And for St. Francis, got the 1 goal by the reigning CWPA Division I Rookie of the Week, Amy Sukes. But Michigan, winners of 11 straight contests, has played a boatload of games against top foes, defeated Indiana, which had been ranked number 13 at one point, defeated the Hoosiers 4 times when the Hoosiers were number 13, defeated number 4 Arizona State once when it was number 4, lost a pair to number 1 Southern Cal, won 2 out of 3 over number 16 San Diego State, won a 2-game set, both games of it earlier this week, 5-4 and 9-3 at number 13 Pacific. And there on the right you could see Dr. Marcel Leonardi motioning with his hands with his troops. They are out of the water, so he is really serious with his conversation. 5-goal lead is apparently not enough. While we wait Here's a screenshot of this week's top 25. Southern Cal is still number 1. Sanford at 2. UCLA, Cal Berkeley, Arizona State. Then you have UC Irvine at 6, and Michigan's at 7. So Michigan is the second highest ranked team out of California, outside of California. Bucknell is tied for 21st, and St. Francis, for the third time in program history, has cracked the top 25. That Austin College, which is Division III, getting in on the rankings. Austin College did not compete this weekend because the tournament it was supposed to participate at Penn State Barron had been canceled. So if the circumstances permit, we would see the Roos next weekend, April 17th and 18th, for the Women's Division III Conference Championship Tournament at Carthage College in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Second quarter getting underway with Michigan in white heading left to right, and St. Francis of PA in dark right to left. And now for the second quarter sprint. Looks like they will go back to the Wolverines. In the first quarter, Kata Atasi had 2 goals. Sophie Pontre, Ann Rankin, Libby Elsengeist, and Casey Omloff had been credited with goals. So it looks like 30-second timeout had been used, and Michigan will have it. Rittner now back to her sister, Emily Rittner now, Maddie O'Reilly, who entered the weekend with 40 goals. She had a couple in the win over Bucknell earlier. Wolverines now on the possession. Inside the hole, batted, gobbled up by keeper Heather Jacobson, sophomore out of San Jose, California. Michigan trying to wrap up an undefeated conference regular season, currently 5-0, in its 6th and final conference regular season game. St. Francis right now 1-2 in conference play. Will take on number 21 Bucknell a little later today, and then have 2 more conference games next weekend in Emmitsburg, Maryland at Mount St. Mary's. And that is a shot clock violation. Job well done for Dr. Leonardi's squad to take the rhythm out of the air for St. Francis. Michigan back on the attack. Emily Rittner, wet pass. Egg beater motion, cross to O'Reilly, back to Rittner. O'Reilly does it with a passion. Nice ball movement, and she responds with a goal to make it now 7-1. Six in the first, 1 in the second for Michigan. A minute or so into the second quarter. Michigan looking like the 4-time defending conference champion. Of course, the last few trips to the NCAA tournament ended in one-and-dones. One time during Dr. Leonardi's tenure, had a 4th place finish. This is the 7th season. Michigan has the potential to do better than 4th place in the nation. And plays like that, you know why. The goal for number 13, Ava Morant. It's now 8-1, Wolverines. By the way, Michigan has conceded 9 or fewer goals now in each of its previous 10 games, and has scored double figures in 11 straight. St. Francis, though, in the bick of a pickle, has it confiscated by Libby Alsomgeist, the freshman out of New Zealand. Way out in front. And a 5-meter penalty throw. Easy call. It's going to be awarded to Michigan. Kata Atasi would like to add to her scoring line now. Had 3 goals earlier today, a goal here, and make it 3 again in this one. Atasi! How about another cap trick? That's her third of the game, at least 6 of the day. The freshman out of Hungary. It's now 9-1. With this Michigan team, there's quite a few upperclassmen and some underclassmen who are showing a lot of promise, like Kata Atasi and Libby Alsomgeist. Broken up there by Alsomgeist, heading left to right in white. Michigan with 6 in the first, 3 and counting in the second. Jacobson awaiting for the next shot, unable to stop it yet again. Kata Atasi might have 4. Or is it Isabel Rocca? It's 10-1. Sorry if we have any misidentified players, but what we do know is Michigan has a 9-goal lead. And it's going to grow. Boy, a lot of sizzle to it. That goal is good by Loyola Saluli, number 19 in white. And the lead keeps growing for the number 7 Wolverines. Make that now 12 straight games in double figures. Michigan is a team you do not want to score very early. And with the CWPA Division I Conference Championship Tournament scheduled at University of Michigan Ann Arbor on April 24th, you know it's going to be a tough task to unseat the 4-time defending conference champs. Especially with a possibility, I say possibility, of spectators, potentially 35 for each team per game. That is subject to change. Michigan, though, having another razor, and Jay O'Neill will call for time. St. Francis will take a breather. Be sure to check out the CWPA's podcast, PoloCast, where we take a deep dive into some of the most prominent people of water polo. We talk about the sport, their lives, who they are, and how they got there. With host George Gross Jr., new episodes are released twice a month. Be sure to check out PoloCast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Jay O'Neill really concerned with his troops right now. Because when you spot Michigan a 10-goal lead in the first half, chances are you're not going to get any closer based on what we've seen under the leadership of Dr. Marcelo Leonardi. So 6 in the first, 5 in the second for Michigan, 1 in the first, 0 in the second for number 25, St. Francis of PA. Michigan is usually of the Big Ten Conference, and St. Francis, the Northeast Conference, which includes Mount St. Mary's and Robert Morris, and even Bryant. And it's not going to get any easier for St. Francis today. 2:30 p.m. Eastern, taking on host number 21 Bucknell. St. Francis has not defeated the Bison in its short program history. Started in 2017. O'Neill, the second head coach. This is a really tough sequence here for the Red Flash. So less than a couple minutes away from halftime. Move along again to St. Francis in Michigan territory. Possession would belong to the Wolverines. Apparently, St. Francis not on the same page. Rittner now at the outlet. Grace Harbaugh inside to Caleb Barone. Barone back to Harbaugh. Harbaugh from the right flat. Dry pass to Barone. Barone back to Harbaugh. Harbaugh finds Barone again. Set up inside. Beautiful feed in the finish. Well done for Elise Walker. She has a few tallies today. She had at least one in the 9-goal win over Bucknell earlier today. A couple of weekends ago, Michigan also defeated Bucknell by at least 9 goals. That was a game in which head coaches for both teams were unavailable. Trying to set up ahead, but not long enough. Rittner right on it. Rittner has a few Defensive Player of the Week honors, but the reigning conference Defensive Player of the Week was Linda Rivera, not in the cage in this one. We might see her later on for St. Francis. Offensive foul called on Michigan. Jacobson will have an outlet for St. Francis in dark, heading right to left. 6 in the first, 6 in the second for Michigan. Set up to the right flat, heading right to left in dark. Really, Michigan has done a stout job keeping St. Francis at check, holding to just 1 goal. The lob is way over the prize. However, a 2-meter will be from the 5 position. Or would it not? Looks like we've got a timeout for Dr. Marcello Leonardi. Dr. Marcello Leonardi. Engage on the instructions, and we'll step aside a bit as well. Cap 7 is the premier water polo provider, specializing in all your water polo needs. Visit cap7.com to find the gear you need to take your game to the next level. Cap 7 is a proud sponsor of the CWPA network. Dr. Leonardi calling a timeout with this big of a lead, just to settle down his troops. And with a lead this big, you can settle down. You don't want to take your foot off the pedal, gas pedal completely. But even though you're up by 11 in the first half, you still have another 16 minutes to play once the horn sounds to signal the end of this quarter. Anyway, the goalkeeper for Michigan, Heidi Rittner, Hides is her nickname. She also likes soccer. Her ideal dinner date, sushi. Dream job is the COO of a professional team or league. That's a very ambitious young lady. And Rittner trying to be COO of the pool at this point, and she's going to have to come up big this time. The St. Francis has a power play opportunity heading in her direction. But it gets past her, and St. Francis able to capitalize on the power play, and for Elise Suits, number 11, that's her second of the game. She has both tallies. For St. Francis, it's 12-2 now. Number 7, Michigan over number 25, SFU. Rittner says her hidden talent is she is double jointed in her elbows. And if she could describe Michigan in one word, classic. Taking up to the left flat now, the Wolverines. Blocked in the field by St. Francis. Jacobson comes up with it. Shot clock still there. Her favorite athlete, by the way, is Maddie Steer, former women's water polo player. You call one of your former teammates your favorite athlete, that's a big compliment. That says a lot about the organization, that it's a family. Now from the half distance line, St. Francis hasn't been able to do a lot. Toss it the other way to the half distance line. Will take a long hurl, but unsuccessful. Rittner with the outlet to Barone. Harbaugh, shot clock unplugged. Back to Barone, set up inside, and they finish it off. Well, absolutely. There's a couple. It's now 13-2, Michigan. And one last chance. And that will do it for our first half of play. 7 in the second quarter for Michigan, just 1 for St. Francis. The lead is out to 11 now, in favor of the number 7 Wolverines in white. 6 in the first, 7 in the second, 1 in the first, 1 in the second for SFU of Pennsylvania. It's halftime now. Big lead for the 4-time defending CWPA D1 champs. Let's send it over for a Cap 7 tip of the week.
Cap 7 tip of the week. Hi, I'm Wolf Weigo, and today we're going to talk about what we're doing with our legs as we finish our shot, okay, transitioning from an egg beater to a strong breaststroke kick. So when you're shooting the ball, you want to get as much power as you can, and we're trying to use our whole body. So we're not just using our arm, we're using our abs, our back, okay, and even our legs to finish it off. So if you think about an egg beater kick, you're doing one one leg alternated with the other. Okay, and if I want to get maximum power, I'm going to do a strong breaststroke kick with both legs at the same time, thrusting forward to get as much velocity on that ball as I can. So as I'm faking the ball, I'm in a regular egg beater position. I'm egg beatering hard, okay? And as I'm about to shoot the ball, I'm going to accelerate, draw both legs up, and do a breaststroke kick as I come forward and bring that ball. So I'm going to do a breaststroke kick. I'm transitioning from that egg beater, coming up, recoiling my body, getting my legs into that frog position, where I try and get them up for as much power as possible. If I keep my legs low, I'm only kicking with a little bit of energy, pushing a little bit of water. If I can draw my knees higher, also if you're more flexible, it's really helpful. Okay, so anytime you're working on egg beater, okay, it's really good to make sure that you're stretching, okay, when you're out of the pool, trying to get as much flexibility as possible. The more you can torque your leg up, the more water you're going to be able to push. Okay, so again, I'm egg beatering, transitioning, and finishing with a strong egg beater as I come forward. Let's check it out one more time. So we talked about our legs. The last thing we're doing is with that offhand, we're going to be also pulling water behind us so that it pulls us forward. So as I'm doing that breaststroke kick, I'm pulling with my left hand, trying to grab as much water as possible, while at the same time following through on my finish. Okay, so a lot of players will use that offhand to really maintain their vertical position in the water, but once they shoot, they just let it sit there. Okay, so you want to remember that you're going to use that offhand to help get out of the water, and then once you're coming forward, you're going to use it to pull forward as well. So you're using it every way you want to make your position better or your shot better. You're activating every part of your body really, but finishing with that left hand or right hand if you're a lefty.
Back here in Game 2 of 3 of the April 11th, 2021 Women's CWPA Division I Water Polo Tournament hosted by Bucknell. Number 7 Michigan in white leads at 13-2 over the number 25 St. Francis University of Pennsylvania Red Flash. Michigan had 6 in the first, 7 in the second. St. Francis 1 in the first, 1 in the second. And if we go around the country, this is the CWPA. The Golden Coast Conference is loaded with a lot of top 25 talent. So loaded that there were 3 teams in the Golden Coast Conference tied at first with 5-1 in conference play: Fresno State, Pacific, and San Diego State. And Michigan has fared well against those programs. In fact, earlier this week, Michigan won 2-0 against the Pacific Tigers, and earlier this season, the Wolverines took 2 out of 3 out of San Diego State. So, you're thinking about loaded conferences, and you see Michigan, you're thinking, well, with Golden Coast having some stiff competition, maybe Michigan is relevant in the national picture. Earlier this game we showed you the top 25, and in terms of the Golden Coast Conference, Fresno State is number 12, Pacific is 13, San Diego State 14. Cal Baptist also in that league is 18th, Loyola Marymount 19th, Azusa Pacific 20. You got at least 6 schools in the Golden Coast in the top 25. Michigan in white heading left to right, with the Rock up by 11. Katatassi had 2 goals in the second quarter. Lassaluli also had 2. O'Reilly, Morant, and Walker also made some deposits into the bank in the second quarter for Michigan. And the Wolverines pull themselves out right now. Gotta call timeout. That is an interesting call for Dr. Marcelo Leonardi. Dr. Leonardi. Generally not liking what he has seen, either that or he's going to tell him what to do with this big of an advantage. On the NCAA scoreboard in Western Water Polo Association action in the first quarter, Mercyhurst leads Gannon 2-0. Number 2 UCLA and number 5 Arizona State in Tempe, Arizona right now taking on each other in the top 5 clash. That should be a good one. Those are some potential candidates to be in next month's NCAA tournament scheduled to take place in Los Angeles, California, if I'm not mistaken. Atassi. Shot clock under 5. Pontre shot. Blocked. There must have been a change of possession at one point. Now here's Kata Atassi. Sophie Pontre back to Atassi. Now to the point. Atassi. She'll take her best shot and make the most of it. Kata Atassi. Got a handful now. It's 14-2, Michigan. St. Francis has a lot to improve upon right now. The good news is your season is not based on a quarter, not a game. It's about your schedule. And when you do not have the games you want to have, you can plot how you can do better. I'm sure Jay O'Neill right now on the sidelines is thinking about that. Atassi. Inside, pounced out of play by Jacobson. Or it looked like it, but it might have gone off the rope. Jacobson now with the outlet. It'll be interesting to see whether or not Jay O'Neill will remove Jacobson at any point in this game. For maybe Rosalinda Rivera or Haley Senko. Rivera, the reigning CWPA Division I Defensive Player of the Week. Made over 20 saves in 2 games last Friday in Erie, Pennsylvania. A 2-0 day for the Red Flash. And a save right there for the Wolverines. Now the outlet. It's a strong arm. There's 6 minutes left here in the third. 14-2, number 7 Wolverines in white. Sophie Pontre is in there as well on the line. Taking from up top. Emily Rittner. Top. Atassi. Well, that was heading to Ann Arbor. Really offline. Goal for Jacobson. Michigan doesn't make too many mistakes like that. And St. Francis needs to be careful, doesn't get a ball under over the target. 2-meter corner coming up for St. Francis. St. Francis, when it defeated Salem earlier this season, actually on March 7th at the Villanova Invitational 10-9, Salem was number 25. Might have been the program's first win over a top 25 opponent. It's the only win this season against a top 25 opponent. And now, the goals keep on coming. Eva Morant has another. Now St. Francis has a lot of work. In 2020, St. Francis was 6-13. Unable to play in any conference competition. Shot clock has been a big factor in this one. St. Francis has been using a lot of it. Now Michigan with it. An offensive foul called on the Wolverines. That's the halfway point of the third. 15-2, Michigan. 6 of the first, 7 in the second, 2 in the third. St. Francis, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. Both goals for the Red Flash by Amis Sukes. Michigan not slowing down anytime soon. A program that has won 9 CWPA titles, including each of the last 4. Oh, bang goes the gong. Matty O'Reilly, the senior out of Villanova, Pennsylvania, bending the twine. This is the most goals Michigan has scored against St. Francis this season. Had previously scored 13 on 2 separate occasions, 13-2 and 13-5 wins. Block down there. Man, Elise Walker with the field block. O'Reilly. That's Grace Harbaugh. Back to Maddie O'Reilly with her left hand. Setting up inside enemy territory to the hole. No whistle. Broken up by St. Francis, and the Red Flash will recover. Jacobson now will have an outlet. Limited time here. Maybe a minute or 2 left in the third. Of our second of 3 games of the day. This is Michigan's regular season finale. Looking to wrap up the top seed in the CWPA Division I circuit. 13 days from now is the scheduled conference championship tournament. Hopefully at Canham Natatorium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Michigan would love to get back home. Way out in front. And you can count it for St. Francis. The goal for number 8. That is Taylor Hallbauer. She had 7 goals during the 2-0 day last Friday, April 3rd. That's her first of the contest. Hallbauer had 40 as a freshman in 2020. She is from Edmonton, Alberta. O'Reilly now for Michigan, heading left to right in white. Sending to the 5. Leg beater for Harbaugh. Broken up inside. Goes pass to the opposition. Back to Jacobson. The outlet to the far side, dribbling right to left. St. Francis with a goal apiece in each quarter. Michigan with 6 in the first, 7 in the second, 3 in the third. Shot clock under 10. Passing it aside. Sukes. Another one for Alex Brown to deny. Lengthy outlet. Harbaugh setting up inside, and there's the finish. That was slapped down. How about Elise Walker? with a couple. It's 17-13 now, number 7 Michigan. On the NCAA scoreboard, Mercyhurst now leads Gannon in the second quarter of WWPA action 5-0. It is 17-3 now. Scott S. Duice here on the call. We're at Kinney Natatorium, Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, home of the Bucknell Bison. Bucknell waiting to take on St. Francis in a couple hours for our final game of the day. Bucknell 1-2 in conference play. St. Francis on the verge of falling to 1-2 in conference play. And that will conclude our third quarter. A 4-1 scoring run makes it now Michigan in the white 17. St. Francis in the dark 3. Couple more goals added to Dr. Leonardi's squad. St. Francis, though, got a goal from Taylor Hallbutler. Michigan poised to win its 12th straight.
Cap 7 is a small company that started out of the back of our garages, and we were doing clinics and camps around the country. We pride ourselves as a company with Cap 7 and Turbo to sponsor as much and give back to the sport as much as we can. Last year we gave over $250,000 back to the sport, and all our products are built by water polo players and for water polo players.
You're watching the CWPA broadcast brought to you by Cap 7.
Hi, I'm Wolf Weiger with Cap 7. There's one more quarter to go in this game. Fourth quarter coming up now.
Be sure to check out our new CWPA Remote Series Professional Edition on the CWPA YouTube channel. We have Olympian George Gross Jr. interviewing water polo alumni from a variety of schools and professions. We take a look at how water polo helped them in college and beyond. New episodes come out every week on Thursday. Be sure to like and subscribe. Michigan has scored double figures now in 12 straight games, winners of 18 straight conference battles. And how about 15 straight conference games in double figures? It's 17-3 Michigan, as we see head coach of St. Francis, Jay O'Neill, squatting down. He really cares about what's going on. Even though his team's down a lot, it's good to see him give direction. You never want to get yourself out of the game, and he knows the game is probably out of reach, but he knows there's a lot of work to be done, and even though the game might be out of reach, you always want to get one goal at a time, put your best foot out there, your best arm out there, and good things would come. Make sure that you check out our website, collegiatewaterpolo.org, to stay up to date on league news, schedules, and more. Also, CWPA Network hopes to have more stream in store. Keep checking CWPATV.com for upcoming streams, and be sure to check out collegiatewaterpolo.org for schedule updates and all things water polo. All regular season remote broadcasts are now free of charge, courtesy of the CWPA. Well, next weekend, April 17th and 18th, hopefully, we'll have the 2021 Women's CWPA Division I Conference Championship Tournament at Carthage College in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And what I mean by hopefully is the Division I Conference is supposed to have a tournament this weekend at Penn State Barron. Fortunately, had been canceled. McAllister and Carthage College set to take each other on in a doubleheader today in St. Paul, Minnesota. McAllister will not participate next weekend for the D3 title, so there would be a new Division III champ. McAllister had won each of the previous 3 conference crowns in that conference. Michigan and White will secure it, up by 14, heading left to right. Michigan trying to end the regular season on a 12-game win streak and end 6-0 in conference play. Right now, Michigan 18-4. St. Francis 8-8. This was likely going to end St. Francis's 3-game win streak. St. Francis have yet to post a conference winning streak, coming off its first ever regular season conference win against Mount St. Mary's on March 21st, 18-7. And that is a shot clock violation. And it will get the ball back to the Wolverines. Michigan on the attack. Harbaugh setting up for Kayla Barone. Harbaugh has it back. She'll take the shot. It was off the pipes. Harbaugh wants to get a second chance. Just an ordinary foul. Take it to the point. Barone finds room. Inside. Delivers the goods. Lewis Cerulli now with at least 3. It's 18-3. Number 7 Michigan in white over number 25 St. Francis of Pennsylvania in the dark caps. In the third quarter, Kata Atasi got her 4th of the game in this one. O'Reilly, Morant, and Walker all had their 2nd. So there are at least 4 players with multiple goals for Michigan. And when you have 4 or more players with 2 or more, that means a lot is going well for you. 3 seconds left. Pendleton had the legs, but not the accuracy. Wide right, goal throw for Michigan. St. Francis will be back in the pool at 2:30 p.m. Eastern today, April 11th, against host number 21 Bucknell, the first of 2 regular season meetings this season. St. Francis would take on Bucknell on April 17th at Mount St. Mary's if the circumstances permit. Michigan has it back. Barone lost the handle. Set up inside. Finishes with flush. It's another one for Elise Walker. Got at least 3 in this one. Michigan a goal away now from its second 20-goal performance of the season. Defeated Mount St. Mary's 21-1 on March 20th here in Lewisburg. In fact, that Mount St. Mary's goal had been scored in the first quarter of that game. And that was with assistant coach Josh Howder, I believe. At the helm for that game. I believe Dr. Leonardi was unavailable. 6 on the shot clock. Setting up inside. Gotta heave it. Goes out of play. Michigan will get it again. Michigan does not allow many goals in fourth quarters. This is perhaps the signature quarter. This is where games are won. In fact, in a 5-4 win on April 5th at Pacific, Manialele scored the game-winning goal with 37 seconds left. So you know Michigan loves being in the moment. Might be a substitution timeout for Michigan. If not, it was just actually an acted like one. There was a shot clock violation. And at this point, with this big of a lead, you want the game to end. If you're Michigan. So even though you are up by a wide margin, you want to take it out. And St. Francis held on to the ball for quite a while. Seven on the shot clock. Out ahead, right to left, broken up by Michigan. Michigan allowing about 6 goals per game. By the way, entering this weekend, Michigan had outscored conference foes 66-12. Now Harbaugh. By the way, Michigan has held opponents to 3 or fewer goals 5 times this season. Actually, to correct that, during this 11-game win streak, Michigan has held opponents to 3 or fewer 5 times. This is the longest win streak for Michigan since having 20 wins in a row from February 24th to April 8th of 2019. Actually, 18. Michigan will get it back. Still 19-3. Barone. Time running out here. About 3 or so minutes left. Harbaugh. Back to Caleb Barone. Set it up to the point. Back to Harbaugh. Harbaugh. Now the Barone. Barone will fire and score! Second time this season Michigan has 20. Barone is on the board. Kayla getting kudos from the sidelines. Michigan having at least 34 goals on the day. Giving up at most 9 so far, possibly 8. The victory over Bucknell earlier was either 15-6 or 14-5, depending on discrepancies, which included whether or not Heidi Rittner had a cross-pool goal to end the third quarter. Now, shot opportunity for St. Francis goes over to Prize. We'll throw here for the Wolverines. So at this point, Michigan will have a 12-game win streak and regular season at 19-4, 6-0 in the conference. And St. Francis will get it back. The Red Flash will drop to 8-9 overall, 1-2 in the conference. And St. Francis, in less than 2 hours, will have a showdown against number 21 Bucknell here at Kinney Natatorium, pending the circumstances. St. Francis back on the ball. Couple goals for Emis Sukes. And a goal for Taylor Holbauer and Jay O'Neill. We'll take time aside and call them in and say, okay, this is what we need to do. By the way, entering the day, Michigan has outscored the opposition 51-19 in the fourth quarter entering the day. Already 3 goals in this one, in this fourth quarter. Now, as you see, Jay O'Neill. Well, it's going to be an interesting matchup for St. Francis for 2:30 p.m. EDT with Bucknell. You have Callie Hyam, who has scored 3 or more goals in every game she has played this season. Bucknell had its 3-game win streak snap. Hyam and teammate Megan McCoy were April 5th CWPA Division I co-players of the week. You got to watch out for number 6 for Bucknell. Ali Ferrano has at least 275 goals in her collegiate career. and counting. She is the Bison's all-time leading goal scorer. And Ali Farina is not just the only one in the top 10 in program history in goals. At number 8, Callie Hyam. So now, looks like it might be a 6-on-5 opportunity for SFU. Now that a full timeout called by Jay O'Neill. Skip shot! And Alex Brown says nay. 6 in the first, 7 in the second, 4 in the third, 3 in the fourth for Michigan. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, none in the fourth for SFU. And Brown's just going to hold on to it. So Michigan will conclude the regular season at 19-4, 12-game win streak, 6-0 in the conference. Make that 19 straight conference wins. That's a shot clock violation for the Wolverines. And St. Francis is going to have a lot of room of improvement. The first 2 games of the day, Michigan won big time, or about to win big time. Bucknell and St. Francis could be a closer one. St. Francis has yet to defeat Bucknell in its short history. Deflected out of play by Brown. 2-meter from the 5 for SFU. St. Francis of Loretto, Pennsylvania. Michigan of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Good stop by Brown. Michigan is going to be really glad to be back home in Ann Arbor. Michigan hasn't played a home game at Canham Natatorium since February. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the contest. Michigan. It's 12th straight win to end the regular season at 19-4, 6-0 in the conference to clinch the CWPA Division I top seed for the tentative April 24th Conference Championship Tournament. The final score, number 7 Michigan in white 20. Number 25 St. Francis University of Pennsylvania red flash in the dark 3. 6 in the first, 7 in the second, 4 in the third, 3 in the fourth for Michigan for 20. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 0 in the fourth for St. Francis for 3. So St. Francis drops to 8-9 overall, 1-2 in the conference. And that will do it for this game, and we thank you very much for tuning in to CWPA Network's free remote broadcast, courtesy of Cap 7 and the Collegiate Water Polo Association. Our next and final game of the day would feature number 21 and host Bucknell Bison, and the number 25 St. Francis Red Flash. Stay tuned and make sure to check us out on our website, collegiatewaterpolo.org, to stay up to date on league news, schedules, and new initiatives as we continue to grow the sport. Also, don't forget to check us out on Twitter, along with Facebook and other social media platforms, to find out what is happening around the league. From everyone here in CWPATV.com, I'm Scott Samuel Royce. Stick around. In less than 2 hours, we'll have our third and final game of the tournament, if the circumstances permit. St. Francis taking on host Bucknell. Again, final score of this one, Michigan 20, St. Francis 3.